afternoon, everybody. Wanted to get us started on topic 12. Topic 12 is going to be focused on some more work with ratios and rates, specifically related to proportion and moving a teeny bit into percentages. We'll probably do some more percentages at the end of the year, but kind of how they relate to ratios and rates. We'll at least touch that. So, our essential question today: why is the correct order of X and Y values important in plotting ratios and rates? Now, plotting ratio and rates, okay, is graphing. So we're actually going to do some graphing practice that goes along with this unit, but it's also directly related to proportional and equivalent ratios, okay? Now, ratios can be represented as points on a coordinate grid. So please write this in. Points on a coordinate grid. Okay. Graphing all of the equivalent ratios. So if you had a series of proportional or equivalent ratios, creates a straight line that passes through the origin. Okay. The origin is at 0, 0 on a coordinate plane. Okay. Now, in this picture, we only have the positive numbers of the coordinate plane, and sometimes that's all we use. If all we need is positive numbers, that's it. Most of our graphing practice, we're going to use positive and negative, mostly because I just want to get you more comfortable and familiar with those values and how they work together. Okay. Now, when you're graphing points on a coordinate grid, so this dot right here goes over 2 spaces. That's on the x-axis. And it moves up 3 spaces. That's on the y-axis. And you can see here that this is the ratio or the proportional statement. But when we graph it, please know that you graph everything in the form x, comma, y. So this point would be marked 2, comma, 3. So the order for a coordinate pair is x, then y. The order for a ratio, a equivalent ratio, a proportion, okay, is y over x in a fractional format. Okay, so very, very key thing to learn. It even messes up the 8th graders sometimes. So just so you know, something to look out for. Okay. And it's even put here in writing. Each coordinate is represented with y is the numerator, x is the denominator. This is the relationship. Okay. I would call the coordinate pair the address. Where would we find it? Okay, so this one is talking about the relationship. If you're actually doing the coordinate pair, it's talking about the address. Where is it located? So when we write a ratio, we write it y to x, y colon x, or y over x. So all those ratios that we've been writing, okay, that should be how we show the relationship. So for example, if I wanted to write 35 miles per hour, okay, 35 over 1 is my ratio or rate, 35 miles per 1 hour. And if I went to make a graph that included that, I would put hours in the X position, and I would put miles in the Y position, okay? Now, some of the examples that we use are the same thing as we used when we were doing rates, okay? Miles in 1 hour miles per hour. This is probably the one, at least where we live, that we use daily. I mean, there's so many, it's really the only speed we talk about. Okay, but let's think about some other ratios that we could have that might even come up in some of the examples. Okay, 10 minutes of music for every 1 minute of commercials. When I was your age, this might have been the ratio on the radio. Okay, a 10 to 1 ratio. Now it might be the ratio if you don't have Spotify Premium. If you listen to Spotify free, you might get this much music or this many songs per time for commercials. Okay. They don't always get written in fractions. It could be something like, and this is kind of a weird one, but 0.75 cups of brown sugar for 1 batch of cookies. Okay, 0.5 per 1. So if I was graphing this, the amount of brown sugar I was using would be moving up on the y-axis, and the number of batches of cookies would be moving on the x-axis. Okay, so the entire point of this is, how do we take this thing that we've already done and turn it into a visual representation like a graph? Okay, and we're just going to touch on it, but I do want you to be familiar. Have a great day. Do your try problems, and I will answer any questions in class.